Oh, we uncovered the number one bottleneck costing you hours a day. You know what's crazy? And when I actually asked 19 foremen what's really jamming up their shop, nobody said tools or materials. They said stuff like CNC, finishing, waiting on information. And listen, folks, they even said the office, believe it or not, is holding up things on the floor. If you're tuned in, you guys already know me. My name's Dominic Rubino. I'm going to give you some data, some information that came from the most recent class from the foreman and supervisor training that we're running right now. There's 26 different companies in that training, and we surveyed everybody to ask them before the class what they thought and after this particular class what they thought. There's actually a series of, I'm doing wrong fingers, there's actually 6 classes in the series. This is just after class number 3. Very interestingly, nobody said it was tools or materials. They said the things holding them up were CNC, finishing, waiting on information, and the office. And then, I just asked the question, if we fix just one of those bottlenecks, that one bottleneck for you, how much time would it save you in your day? Some said it would save them an hour. Others said 3 hours. And one guy literally said, we've already seen the results, which is pretty cool. So this is real feedback from real leaders on your team. Now, this is, as I said, 26 companies. So there's 19 foremen who actually gave us their data before and after the class. So I think you're going to be interested to hear what's going on. I'm going to show you 3 takeaways that you can use right now as well. And I'd love to train your foreman for you to lead, so you're not stuck doing it all yourself. I mean, you've got all the technical skills for building cabinetry or millwork, maybe even closets, anything in the finished wood trades, but you probably didn't have a chance to get trained on how to lead leaders and how to train leaders to lead. And that's something that myself and my team are very good at. So, let me tell you how we're going to do it here. If you do want ever to have a discussion with me about how to do that, just send me a text message. Super simple. My cell phone number is 315-903-7853 and just say foreman training. And then I'll know what you're talking about. You'll know what I'm talking about. We'll set a meeting. We'll talk about it. Right. So yeah, I'll train your foreman for you if you want. Anyways, here's the feedback from the foreman training. Just 2 of the feedback questions we're going to go over today. There were a total of 5 questions that we asked, but here's 2 of them. So before the class, we asked this survey question of everybody there, and it was very simple. They just took a picture with their cell phone while they're watching the screen because we're presenting it as a PowerPoint. There's workbooks and text. There's workbooks, lots of downloads, checklists, different tools for leadership. So you've got something in your hand. But in order to do the survey, the easiest thing was we just used a QR code and everybody took a picture with their phone. So here's the question we asked anyways. Where is the biggest bottleneck in your department? And of course, the bottleneck is defined as, very simply, a place where things stack up in your company. So there were 19 responses to that. Here are the answers that we got from other companies, and see if you find your own company inside their answers, right? So again, the question, where's the biggest bottleneck in your department? And for almost everybody there, their department is the floor. We do have some install foremen or supervisors. We do have some office people, but a lot of them are on the floor. So this is what they said. Engineering, assembly, quality control. So people call it QC or quality control. I'm not sure what you call it in your company. If you call it something different, leave it here in the comments. Packaging and shipping, finishing. A couple of people said specialty builds. So hoods, applied moldings, things like that, like the very specialty stuff. Estimating was one of the holdups. CNC, veneering, and milling. Quotes is another one. So very top of the funnel, right? Quotes is where the biggest holdup is. In the office, painting or the finishing line, people answered both ways. Booth, the booth, fighting dry times and space to let everything dry. Then we got the CNC. This person said the CNC, finishing booth, and custom are the biggest holdups for them. And then waiting on information and selections from the client, not able to complete the job. So interesting. How many times have you been really held hostage because you're waiting on information? We don't have final selections from the client. Maybe we're waiting to hear from the builder. We're playing that game. What's that game called? Telephone that you play around the campfire as a kid. I say something to you, he says something to the next person, she says something, and it goes around. By the time the message comes back, it's totally different. That's the worst of all situations. But if you find yourself in a situation where you're waiting on information or you're waiting on selections from the client, what's the core issue there? And that's something we're dealing with in foreman training, because the foreman, of course, has to deal with that. The production line's got to keep going, right? So the foreman is wearing that. And we talk about how to deal with that in the training. Anyways, to go on with the survey responses, not able to complete the job, service calls. So all of those were questions or answers. I'm sorry. Those are the answers that people gave us to the very simple question: where's the biggest bottleneck in your department? Now, remember, I'd said most of the people there run operations on the floor. Some of them run install, and some of them run different departments in the office. So engineering or estimating, right? So very interesting that you saw some consistency there, is that your foreman is often waiting for information. They're always waiting for something to come to them, then they're reactive in what they're doing, and that causes a lot of stress. That's why we started this foreman training. The training's actually been running for quite a long time. We took a break from it for a while and rebuilt the training based on feedback we were getting from all of our coaching clients, feedback from foremen. And so we just put the brakes on it. We stopped doing it for a little while, rebuilt the whole training, added some survey questions, some new and updated data, some new and updated information. The new ways of leading teams was really important to bring to that. And that came from feedback from other shops that have been taking this training from us for years. And now you're seeing the results of that data here. Data? You say data? Do you say data? What do you say on Memorial Day where you live? Anyways, then we asked, this is the second question I promised to share. That first question was the beginning of class. Now I'll tell you what people said at the end of class. And so the question was very simple. When you solve your biggest bottleneck, how much time a day will it save you? And we got 18 responses on that. So one person didn't respond because we had 19 on the first one. People said everything from an hour. People have said amazing amounts we've experienced already across multiple people. So hard to measure, but definitely an impact. That's nice. People are talking half a day or more, many hours. It will be substantial, a lot. Like everybody, the minimum people are saying is an hour to half a day, right? This one person, interestingly, said it will personally save them 2 to 3 hours a day in knowing the biggest bottleneck in your company and applying it. There's a very specific tool that we had everybody learn, and that tool comes from a book called The Goal by Elia Goldratt. If you haven't read the book yet, it is fantastic, and it speaks to exactly what we do, which is manufacturing. It's not about lean manufacturing. It's not about that. It's a really good, it's a novel. It tells a story. As a matter of fact, there's a graphic novel version if you want. Graphic novel is like an adult comic book. But man, I'll tell you what, it tells the story. It's great at that. So we already saw the impact that this is going to have on shops, just having the right data. And again, if you're interested at all in just having the conversation about what foreman training looks like, whether it be right for you, just send me a text. My cell phone's 315-903-7853. Now that you know the top 5 bottlenecks in production, the office and installs, this was the last question we asked. Oh, I said I was only going to share 2. Well, it's on here now. I'll share the third question. You guys ready for it? So we asked them, now that you know the top 5 bottlenecks in production, which was the source. That was the core of the material, of the training material in last week's class, was talking about the top 5 bottlenecks in production. Imagine that you had at your fingertips everybody knowing what the top 5 bottlenecks were in your shop and the office and installs. We asked the question, will it be easier or harder or make no difference to make things run smoother? I was kind of blown away by this. 100% of the people answered it will make things easier. So I think that's pretty cool. Again, this is why we do the foreman training. We learn, we ask questions, we listen to the data, just like you want to do. Having numbers, knowing what numbers to look at, knowing what information to pay attention to, and leading our teams is probably why you tune into to me, because that's what we talk about here. Listen, originally we talked about things that we've learned over the years of doing this. And I want to remind you, 3 of the 8 things we learned about foreman turnover, why you're not able to keep good foremen, why you're promoting somebody from the floor who's a great, they're great on the tools, but it turns out they're not a great leader, but they stay, is not their fault. It's us as the owners of the company who don't train and support our people, which I'm offering to do for you, right? But when we did the original survey, when we looked at the original data, here's 3 of the 8 things we learned. The reason people stay as a foreman but don't perform to their best, they feel trapped or burned out. There's no work-life balance for them, which doesn't that sound familiar? Many of the cabinet and mill workshop owners that we talk about, you've probably got 20 text messages just while you're watching this, right? So there's no work-life balance that bleeds over into the family life. And then there's turnover and no respect from the crew. So that makes it hard for them. to go to work. And that's why we put this foreman and supervisor training in place. They don't teach it in school. And to be honest, I don't think it would make sense to teach it in school. School's all theory. You've got to get out there in the real world and understand reality before you can start to understand how leadership really works, how to lead a team of people who are just there to punch the clock and go home and take care of their families, right? So how do you lead that team with safety, quality control, but also hitting production numbers and doing work that we're all proud of? Keep in mind that the work that we do is the last thing people see before they go to bed and the first thing they see when they wake up in the morning. And I think a lot of people lose that perspective. We should be very proud of the work that we do in finished wood trades, because it really is art that we hang on the wall in somebody's home. It brings it all together. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed that piece of data. If you've got any questions, shoot me a text. I'll give you my cell phone number one more time, 315-903-7853, and just tell me you want to meet up and chat, and we'll do that. Thanks for checking in, folks. Hope you have a great Memorial Day. We'll talk to you soon.